um, has been a regular habit, um, and as will be for the foreseeable future, as long as I'm enjoying it, as long as no one tells me to, hey, shut up, quit mumbling, get on with your life, and quit misbehaving on YouTube. Um, I'll keep going live. I'll keep reading my blog, um, and I'll keep an open dialogue. Um, I consider it an open dialogue because here I am talking, but I am open to whatever comes my way, whatever words might show up. Sorry, I got fruit flies flying around my head. Um, the bane of my summer existence as a let me get this off of here. The bane of my summertime existence as a um, high carb, high fruit vegan. So anyway, um, yes, I can consider it an open dialogue because um, whatever comes to me comes straight out, pretty much unfiltered, and I'm open to anyone else popping up and asking a question or contributing. I just saw as I was signing in to go live that now I can invite someone to go live with me. I have a list of a few people I'd like to invite. That list is open and ongoing. Whoever would like to have a conversation, a dialogue, uh, back and forth, and whoever else pops up, I'm open to it. So I know Aldo and I have uh, talked about it just a little bit. So, um, having said that, gotten all that out of the way, um, I always wait and chat a few minutes once I pop in to see if anyone shows up before I read from my blog. Uh, that way, not that I have a large audience or anything, but that way I don't get a paragraph or two in and somebody comes along and they're like, what the heck is this guy even talking about? Um, so let's give it a minute and I will talk a little bit about what the blog is about today. Um, the title is Another Form of Magic. Um, and it's literally about that. It's literally about magic. Um, other forms, or maybe just one form in different aspects, different appearances. Um, so for me, it began with prayer, going to a Catholic school, uh, learning the power of prayer, um, being told to pray every day, being told by the nuns and my teachers. Um, you know what, though? Being told to pray, I was never instructed on how to pray. We were never really given instructions on how do you do this? How do you connect with God? We were taught, petitioning prayers, prayers of worship, but not a true communication, not what I would consider true prayer. Um, it might have been the comedian Lily Tomlin who said that, uh, maybe not, um, that prayer is speaking to God, meditation is listening to God. I don't necessarily agree with that. Um, I think both are dialogue, um, and that true prayer leads to meditation. True prayer leads to silence. Meditation begins with that premise of silence. Um, we use a mantra, or we use the breath, or we use some other means to take us there. Um, some of my closest experiences of God, some of my truest prayer, actually, have been through using hallucinogens, uh, LSD, mushrooms, uh, anything else I can find at the time. You you don't get much closer to God than being at a Dead show in 1983 at Meriwether Post Pavilion. Um, seriously, that music, vibration, uh, the dancing, the earth. It was raining that year. Maybe it was 82. Was the year it was raining. Um, and there was mud and we were sliding and everyone was happy, and that is a religious experience. Um, that is a full body religious experience. I hate using the expression out of body experience because that implies that separation, that we don't need the body. Um, I'm not saying that all we are is the body, but he wants to have an out of body experience and not um, get that full sensual, um, emotional, complete, full body prayer. Uh, Out of body experience takes you out of body. Uh, let's do more of an in body experience. Uh, I believe it was Pierre the Talahan. Um, I don't know, Wayne Dyer quoted him later that we're not human experience. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience, but spiritual beings having a human experience. Again, that's duality. That's separating the two. That is spirit and there's body. There's spirit body. There's body spirit. It's all one thing. So back to the blog. Um, it is a prayer is a form of magic. Meditation is a form of magic. Setting an intention. It's all forms of magic. So let me read um, the blog, and then we will. Hey, how are you? Um, I'm getting ready to read my blog. I'm talking about magic, different kinds of magic. Actually, I think you might probably have something to say because I mentioned the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, um, and that uh, true magic isn't a far out, far off experience that's separated from our body. That we are magic by virtue of existence, by virtue that the universe had to arrange itself. Particles had to arrange themselves into atoms. Atoms had to arrange themselves into molecules. Um, there's what's more magical than that? What's more magical than a hey Mocha? Um, Mocha, you'll see the name Fitness H2O there. Um, he is a yogi extraordinaire, a great fitness channel. Um, Luis, how are you? Great to see you. Um, have a great weekend too. I just saw you checking out the rope work um, and high class burpees over on our mutual friends channel. Um, that back to magic, you know, as I said, existence. How can it get any more magical than the fact that we have a good? Glad to hear you feeling good. We have the abundance of air to breathe. How magical is that? We have trees that clean our air. You know, we have dogs. We have cats. Can life get more magical than having a good dog? And all dogs are good. I think mccarty will most definitely vouch for that. So, talking about the magic of prayer, I'm talking about the magic of meditation, I'm talking about the magic of planting a seed, planting an intent, and detaching from the outcome. We don't need to pay attention to the details. The universe handles the details. We simply plant that seed, plant that desire, watch the universe take care of the details. Does it always work? Yes, not in ways that we're always privy to. You know, let me read the blog real quick, and then we'll talk more about that. Again, the title is Another Form of Magic. Um, as a child, I believed completely in the power of prayer. Attending a Catholic school and faith in prayer would start equally with math and English. It was expected that our prayers would be answered, as long as they were directed rightly. I tried my best. It wasn't much later, still before high school, that my interest drifted to magic, what's considered real magic, mystery schools, rituals of nature, and the power of the mind to attract our strongest desires. Oddly, this never conflicted with my Catholic upbringing at the time. Even then it seemed that I was dealing with the same source no matter the language of my faith. Prayer was simply another form of magic. I'm going to do a slight slip off from reading my blog. And again, that prayer and meditation, not two separate things. They lead us to the same place. Prayer leads us to silence. Meditation starts with the direct intent of being in silence. So we're heading for the same place. We might call it different things, but it's the same source. Back to the blog. That's what really drew me to yoga and meditation. Another fascination that started very young, and my practice continues to this day, deepening through the decades in its value and my commitment. Patanjali, in his Yoga Sutras, claimed we could gain the powers of advanced yogi through our practice. Another form of magic, one that greatly appealed to me. This was the law of least effort, planting a seed, subtle energy, initially watered by intent, and then simply letting go. Through this, the yogi allowed the universe to handle all the details. Our role now is to be watchful for signs, open to the synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that would lead towards success, the fulfillment of our desires. Of course, the problem here is that if our desires aren't met, our practice seems to be at fault. Or perhaps we need another form of magic to reach our ultimate success. And there's always another form of magic. One more book with a promise of fulfillment, a new teacher offering its secret means for attaining our dreams and reaching our goals. Finally, the truth is without realizing it. We're invested in our failure. The real goal is in seeking, and we refuse to let it go. That's our fulfillment. Being a perpetual seeker, we're lost in a maze of mind and magic, never even realizing that we're lost. I'm going to sidestep from the blog again that I'm reading and say there's nothing the matter with being a seeker, but when we're caught up with the seeking itself, never realizing that the journey is the goal, that we are here now, as Ram Dass says, then we're spiraling. We never realize that we are here and we are now. We're always looking for that other here and that other now. Eventually we'll get there if we read the right book, if we say the right prayer, if we do the right meditation technique. It all leads to the same source. Every river, every stream, every creek, as we say back up in the hills, it all leads to the same place. It's the same ocean. Every stream takes us there. So, back to the blog. Or maybe suspecting so, having a hint that something isn't working in the way that's been promised. Yet through the years of never quite reaching the realization of my dreams, I find that I still believe in magic, that Patanjali was offering something deeply magical after all. Yoga, meditation, each breath taken, that's my fulfillment. The original seed planted being at peace and perfectly content right now. There's magic in this moment, pure, an entire universe open to my expansion. This was a seed placed in the fertile field of my imagination so many years ago, and to my surprise, I now realize that it was immediately fulfilled in the very instant it was planted. My only true wish, my heartfelt desire, was the happiness found in the depth of every moment, not the absence of sorrow, nor the release of any suffering, but the magic of simply believing, being exactly as I am. It's another form of magic, sure in its fulfillment. So that's the blog post. And what it comes down to, what I finally, hopefully get to, is planting the seed of our desires. That fulfillment is already taken care of the moment we plant the seed, because our practice is its own fulfillment. Doing a burpee we're not doing a burpee to get to 1,000 burpees. We're doing one burpee for the sake of doing a burpee, and then we repeat, and eventually we get to 1,000 burpees. It's the same with any fitness endeavor. When I ran my first 100-mile race, 100 miles is a lot to take in at once. Fortunately, I didn't have to. I only had to take one step. Um, the Tao Te Ching tells us the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. It actually starts before that. It starts with intent. It starts with desire. It starts with even the absence of that blank field of imagination, emptiness, leading us, pulling us to become and then release and then become and then release. We're not the same person we were yesterday or the day before. We won't be the same person tomorrow. It's because life is motion, always ever changing. There's no stopping life. Pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing because we are life. So the book that was mentioned in my blog there, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, it is 500 years older, 1,000 years old. It may not have been an actual Patanjali. It might have been a gathering of yogic wisdom put into place. It is about yoga to reach that higher state of consciousness, to use yoga to approach the stillness that lies within. And as we reach those higher states, Patanjali teaches how we get these cities, these almost magical powers of concentration, that by planting the seed, the universe conspires, as in the book The Alchemist. And I'll have to remember to put that book in my detailed description. As they say in The Alchemist, the universe conspires to bring about the fulfillment of our dreams. I love that phrase. I love using the phrase conspires, because that means there's a whispering amongst the trees. You haven't done anything, ever. Milka, to answer your question, who was it that did the things before? There's the memory. When does that memory take place? That memory takes place right now. You've never done anything before. You are reborn in original innocence every single instant. You are absolved of anything you believe, you think you've ever done before. Every single cell of your body has already been replaced. Well, maybe not brain cells. I believe brain cells, there's a whole nother issue with that. Every single cell of your body has been replaced. What's held on? How can you be the same person? Then, we can think, well, consciously, I'm the same person. But consciousness isn't static. It's the entire universe. Are we still in 1776? Are we still in 1866? Are we still in 1966? Life is moving on. So you've never done anything except what you're doing right now. Taking a breath, having a thought, beating your heart. You are as innocent as if you were born this very moment, because in fact, you were born this very moment, and you will continuously be born every single moment. And that's the secret of Patanjali. That's the secret of yoga. That's the secret of meditation. It's the secret of prayer, true prayer, taking us to this very moment. Again, I keep quoting Ram Dass, be here now. Probably very few famous yogic hippie phrases have been as misunderstood, except for maybe Joseph Campbell's Follow Your Bliss. Be here now. And everyone, they heard those words, they read the book, and they dropped everything and went to India, went to Nepal, they went everywhere except for here. They traveled everywhere except for now. to look for what Ram Dass pointed out was already here, already now. You don't need to go anywhere. Reason why you don't need to go anywhere, because everything's here, this instant, this second, this moment. This is it. This is eternity. This is the kingdom of heaven. Jesus said, look within. The kingdom of heaven is within. Saint Catherine of Siena said, all the way to heaven is heaven. When you hear these quotes, what does it possibly leave out? Nothing. So that's where Patanjali comes in again with meditation, bringing us to the remembered depth of here and now. And it's there we plant that seed of intention, and then the universe carries out the details. That's how you manifest something. Now, for me, I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be famous. Well, forgiveness is an interesting topic. It's probably as misunderstood as Ram Dass and Joseph Campbell. We don't forgive. Forgiveness happens. Who are we to bestow forgiveness upon someone? Forgiveness, our sake of forgiveness, what we think of as forgiveness, is basically saying, from my lofty position of being right, I forgive you for being wrong. And yet, who was wrong? And who are you to be right? The thing is that right and wrong, as I'm throwing out quotes, let's throw in, Shakespeare. Nothing is good nor bad, less thinking makes it so. It sounds trite, sort of, to say things like that. But the fact of the matter is it's absolutely true. People are wrong on a gross level of interaction. Kicking a dog is wrong, obviously. Mistreating poor people, the obvious things of being wrong. But who knows why people did whatever they did? Are they wrong or are the actions wrong? It's a thorny thread to grab hold of, but the best way to look at it for me is we are not the ones forgiving. We're not the ones who are offering anything to anyone, and we are not the ones who need to be forgiven. Because again, had we been able to do better in any situation, we would have done better in any situation. I know people like to think, well, yeah, but he should have done better. Should have, but who knows? Who knows the condition of the mind? Who knows anything for certain enough that we offer that kind of judgment? Thank you, Fitness H2O. I appreciate it. I absolutely love your channel. The high energy that you put out there, how you really reach out to every level of fitness and offer something to someone. So I really appreciate you being here, and I really appreciate everything you do. So my favorite quote on forgiveness, and then I'll move on. Although I'm always happy to talk more about this if anyone wants, if you want me to, Mocha. But my favorite quote on forgiveness comes from Mark Twain, that forgiveness is the fragrance released by the violet upon the heel that has crushed it. It's instant. The violet didn't stop and consider, should I forgive? Does this heel that stepped on me deserve forgiveness? What about me? I was a violet, perfectly happy doing my violet stuff, and this guy, big old heavy work boots, came along and stepped all over me and walked away. Doesn't happen. The violet releases the fragrance of forgiveness immediately and moves on. Is already becoming something other the moment it's stepped on. It's a good thing I have this desk here because I use it to emphasize every single word. Um, if I didn't have the desk, I would be going like this and not making any sounds whatsoever. Um, so forgiveness happens instantaneous already without our need to even participate in the matter. Now, if we recognize it and we recognize that it's already happening, it's already done, it's already over, then we can call that self-forgiveness and we can move on with our lives, remembering that we are already and always innocent. Um, what an amazing thing. I don't always remember that. I get stuck in the past. I get stuck in punishing myself for the host of stupid things that I've done today, let alone my entire life, in an hour, let alone the entire day. Um, who wants to get caught up in that? Wow, as soon as I realize it, as soon as I see it, bam, I want to let it go. I want to drop it like it's the heaviest load in the world, because it is. You want to carry that load forever? Um, everything's forgiven. I'm not holding anything. Um, I know that, but um, I don't always remember it. And that's all we have to do. Here's the great thing about awareness. It's ever present, always present, but sometimes our attention is in other places. We can always bring our attention back. We're free. I'm not saying we have free will. That's there's going to be a whole nother talk that we're going to have one day. But we are free, which means that we get to roam the vast expanse of mind and soul and the universe. We don't have to be in any particular area. Drop the load, roam, be free. And you'll forget. And you'll remind yourself. And you'll forget. And you'll remind yourself. The entire book of A Course in Miracles is about forgiveness. And in the end, what you realize after 365 lessons, after a 1,000-page text, is that you're already forgiven. You could have skipped the book. You could have skipped 360. You could have gotten to the last lesson. You could have skipped 364 lessons and come right to that moment with the realization that you're completely innocent, forgiven, forgiving, that you are no more able to hold a grievance than the violet that was stepped on, that your natural expression is the fragrance of forgiveness. When you think about it, it's a funny way of saying it. When you think about it, when you think about not thinking, and what I mean is, okay, if you didn't think about a problem right now, if you didn't think about what you needed to be forgiven for, or who you needed to forgive, where is it? Without that thought, well, that's sort of a story, okay? That we seem hardwired, but are we? You know, is that absolutely true? I love Brian Katie's simple questions of self-inquiry. Is it true? Can you absolutely know for certain that it's true? Who are you? How do you act when you believe it's true? And who would you be if you didn't have that belief, if you didn't have that thought? That leads us right back to what I was saying. Without that thought of needing to be forgiven or needing to forgive, does it exist? If you, it comes back to memory and how important are memories. You know, we have them, we tell stories about them, and yet science shows that probably the vast majority of memories that we have didn't take place the way we think they did. We believe they did, and then we act upon them. We're acting upon a belief. We're acting upon what we think happened. But of course, we can only tell what happened from our side. Um, so how do we drop the load? Probably, probably suddenly, all at once, and just walk away. But we'll pick it back up, and then we have to do it again. It stays with us until it doesn't stay with us. There's no easy answer. How do we do anything? How do we meditate? How do we? Um, it happens. But one thing that helps is just remembering your original innocence. Um, remember that is the original. So the original Garden of Eden, the um, gateway to innocence. We never left the garden. Um, Joni Mitchell taught us that a long time ago, that we've never left the garden. We've stayed golden. So, all right, guys, I've talked for about half an hour. If there anyone who's been able to stay with me this long and has a question, I'm happy to attempt the answer. One thing I should say is I'm not really given any answers. I don't know. Um, I don't know how we technically let go of things. I don't know. I don't know the answer to any of this. It's a mystery. But I do know that it is let go because it's happened for me. Things have just been let go. I've woken up to a new air of being. I've woken up to um, a new moment of innocence. I've let things go without any purposeful intent of letting things go. Um, but you know what? Even with a scar, okay, it's just a story. We look at it and we tell a story about that scar, but it's just a mark on skin that fades, that changes, that becomes something other. Um, Everything comes down to the story we tell ourselves. Um, it's really, I almost, I'm at a failure to describe the stories that we tell and reality, um, because it makes it sound like we shouldn't do something. We shouldn't tell this story. We shouldn't believe this. We shouldn't look at this scar and have these feelings. Um, but there isn't any should or shouldn't or whatever. Stories come, stories appear. We believe them. We believe other stories as well. New information comes in, our stories change. But the reality, the basic awareness of who and what we are, remains the same, unchanged by any story that's told. So if we just know that and nothing else, life changes instantly. Um, I mean, again, to refer to my story I mentioned the other day and I wrote about a few days ago, when I quit drinking. Years of um, just tragic behavior on my part. And in an instant, it was let go. I knew when something happened to me that my time of drinking was over. I never had to take another drink. It's not that there wasn't times I might have struggled a little bit, but there was just that basic knowingness that I was done, a new me. It's almost like there that person. I could look back and laugh, but I wasn't the same person. Um, that's what I mean. That things change when things change. It's the moment of grace. But if we know that things are already changing, we can just sit here and allow. That's probably the. I don't want to think of it as advice. Just know that things are already changing. That there is no nothing that you need to do. That's what I mentioned here in the blog post, that you plant the seed, let the universe take care of the details. Know that forgiveness happens outside of you. It's nothing that you do. You're not the forgiver, and you don't need to be forgiven. With that being the case, what do you have to do? Carry on with your life. Smile, be happy. Then there'll be moments when you're sad, and moments when you're not smiling, and moments when you're unhappy, moments when you're miserable. But you know what? It's life. We go on. There's going to be another moment when we're happy again. That's how life works. When we realize that, then our happiness isn't based on anything any longer. We're happy for the sake of being happy. We're happy because it's our identity, and all that other stuff can come and go. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be miserable. You're allowed to be unforgiving. You're allowed to feel as if you can't be forgiven ever. All of that's happening in the moment, but it's not going to stay, because nothing does. That open field of awareness, who we are, allows everything to pass. Everything. Nothing is held on to. For all that to happen again, you have to tell yourself the story over again. It's why, in Buddhism, they call it our blue sky nature, or clear sky nature. The sky holds everything impartial. Doesn't care if it's an airplane, if it's a rain cloud, if it's a tree limb. Everything is held. That's the nature of unconditional love, and that's also the nature of our mind. Everything is allowed. Everything passes through. And then we recall it as if it's a cloud, and we bring it back, and we experience it all over again. But that doesn't mean it happened again. It just means that we recalled it, and we brought it back. So that's the talk for the day. For what it's worth, I always sort of say that, for what it's worth, and then I always catch myself, because I'm about to say, and we know it's not worth anything at all. It's worth what it's worth, for whoever it might be. It's worthwhile for me because I enjoy having the conversations. I enjoy reading my blog. I enjoy answering questions. And hopefully it was maybe worth the wood of time that we spent together. I'm going to remember to post a link for the Yoga Sutras, and for what was the other book that we talked about? I'll remember it and I'll post it. I don't remember it now. Oh, The Alchemist. I knew I would. So thanks, guys, for joining me. Before I end, if there is any quick questions, let me know. And let me give it a minute just in case someone's typing. They ought to put one of those little dot thingies that you see on certain messages, where you know someone is getting ready to ask something and you can wait. But in the absence of that, I'm going to say goodbye, and I will see you tomorrow for burpees and for another live session. By the way, I realized, I got the camera here, and I have my computer here, which is what I do to read my blog from. And then I see other things pop up. So I really need to start focusing just on the camera, so it doesn't look like I'm shady and nervous looking back and forth. My attention is here with you guys, but I got a blinking screen over here that draws me away. All right, guys. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate it, and I will see you all tomorrow. Take care.